Dead in the Water. Ye may think an insensitive title for any story that could involve a maroon-style tragedy, and you'd be right, except for the fact that in this case, we have a remarkable young woman who, yes, was in fact dead in the water, but once she got out, she was eventually okay. So the title's okay. Maybe even more than okay. Welcome to Marooned, harrowing tales of the catastrophically lost. I'm Jack Luna. This is Aaron Habel.
Anna Elisabeth Johansson Bågenholm was born in 1970 in Sweden. She was one of 8 children. Anna went to medical school specializing in orthopedic surgery and did her surgical internship under a Dr. Jones at Narvik Hospital in northern Norway. She went on to become an assistant surgeon at the hospital in 1998. And Anna, she loved skiing. She had grown up doing it, and she was considered an expert skier. Anna would often go skiing on the steep slopes outside the city after finishing her internship shifts for the day. On the day of the incident, she was telemark skiing. Telemark skiing is a technique using both alpine and Nordic skiing. The skier keeps balance with the rear foot, leading with the front foot in order to turn on downhill skis. The name comes from Telemark, a region in Norway from where the style originates. She was also skiing off track along the natural terrain.
On May 20th, 1999, 29-year-old Anna went skiing in Narvik, that's in Norway, northern Norway, with 2 of her colleagues, Marie Falkenberg and Torvind Nesheim. Both Falkenberg and Nesheim were doctors. It was a crisp spring day with blue skies. The 3 were surrounded by the beautiful nature of the Norwegian peaks and valleys. Despite its remote beauty, the weather in the region was still cold and bitter that month, and the looming possibility of danger was ever present. The temperature would have been around plus 3 degrees Celsius, 37.5 degrees Fahrenheit, with streams still covered in a layer of ice. Anna took a route that was familiar to her, and although it was off track, she had skied along the same route multiple times over the last few days. Despite her experience and familiarity with the area, the day took a sudden turn when at around 6:20 p.m., Anna lost control of her skis, fell on her back, and hit her head on the ice.
Anna slid down the snow and ice-covered mountainside, and gravity pulled her towards an opening in the ice sheet of a river that was partly thawed and filled with rushing icy meltwater. She became trapped under that ice, positioned lying on her back, with her face turned up and in an air pocket. Marie Falkenberg and Torvind Nesheim watched in horror as Anna slid headfirst into the icy river. They discarded their gear and ran to her, each grabbing one of Anna's legs, and they tried to pull her free to no avail.
Anna would later say about this, quote, "The problem is that when we come down to this frozen ledge, it was very steep. So I hit some stones, and then I turned on my back and started to slide down the ice on my back. And then Torvind, he was a bit lower, and Maria was a bit higher, and they got rid of their equipment and ran to me. I kind of hit a hole in the ice so that my head went under." End quote. Anna's head had become wedged between a thick shelf of ice and rock, and she's underwater. 7 minutes had passed by the time her friends had gotten to her. One of the friends had to make the SOS alarm call in Narvik from Anna's cell phone. They waited helplessly for rescuers to arrive, struggling to pull Anna from the lake without success. "We tried to pull her up, but it didn't work. She slowly disappeared under the ice," said Torvind later. And Aaron, this is a nightmare scenario. Obviously, she slid down the hill. Her speed has punched her through a hidden stream there. Actually, not a stream, like a river, because the current is pulling her so at such force that it's pinned her underneath the ice. They're trying to pull her out by her legs, but they can't because the current is sucking her under. She's pinned here. And although, like you mentioned, there is an air bubble that quickly runs out of oxygen for her, and she's passed out, freezing underneath this ice. What a scary situation.
Yeah, it's very frustrating too because they're right there. There are 2 of them. You'd think they could pull her out, but it's not working. So, they always say, "If only I was there." And it must be torture knowing I've got my friend right here. I'm going to get her out, but then you can't.
No, and I think they just gave up after a certain time, and they're holding on to her legs to make sure that she doesn't get sucked under and they lose the body. They're just trying to hold on to her body so that there can be a burial at this point. It's going to take quite some time for a rescue helicopter to get to them. So it's her two friends are just sitting there holding onto her legs, thinking that they have a dead body, or their friend's dead. I don't know what I would do. I mean, there's nothing you can do. I've never even heard of a situation like this. Punched in through the ice, head first, stuck in the current like that. The thing I guess that they needed to do later in hindsight, obviously 2020, is to be able to punch a hole through the ice upstream and pull her through up into that hole. But like they don't have tools on them. And the ice is fairly thick. She just hit it with such impact that she broke through. An unbelievable situation.
All they could do was wait patiently for rescuers to show up while performing life-saving techniques. By 7 p.m., Anna was not showing signs of life. It took paramedics 40 minutes to arrive on site, and it took rescuers almost half an hour to free Anna from the river's icy grip. So, again, they're able to show up and they're able to get her finally from the icy river. But by this time, because her friends couldn't get her out, she's frozen.
Yeah.
And she's not breathing. These rescuers, they had arrived with shovels, and what they did was they dug out a hole through which they could pull Anna out.
Yeah.
And the water was so strong, the surface above was icy. They had to tie ropes around Anna's legs, and they got her out at 7:40 p.m. So it's quite a while later when this actually happens. At this point, she had been submerged for about 80 minutes. The head of the rescue party, whose name was Singstad, said, "I thought we were taking a friend dead out of the water."
And they effectively were. She was dead, completely frozen. Saw some reports that she looked like a doll, like a porcelain doll, mannequin. Dead, no heartbeat, not breathing. By 8 p.m., Anna was loaded into the helicopter. Her body temperature was 13.7 degrees Celsius. That's 56.66 degrees Fahrenheit. No adult human being had ever recorded at such a low temperature and survived. And in fact, like we keep saying, Anna was clinically dead. Although she appeared completely lifeless, paramedics continued to administer CPR. CPR was continually performed as she was loaded onto the rescue helicopter. And this helicopter was actually headed somewhere else, Aaron. But when the police got the call for rescue, this is in the middle of nowhere. So there's like an officer in town who gets the call. He calls the rescue chopper. It's headed somewhere else. And he says, listen, they're like, we're headed to another call. He's like, this one's more important. And they're like, well, this is the call. We have to go to this call. He's like, you have 1 minute to decide where you're going, what you're going to do here. We have an opportunity maybe to save someone here, or you have this call you need to go to, which was not life-threatening. They turned around, they came. Even though I swear, Aaron, that I feel like in a lot of situations that having the information that they had, they might just give up on that one too and be like, wait a minute, she's been underwater for how long? Half an hour? Forget it. I mean, this is a recovery mission, not a rescue operation. But they treated it like a rescue operation. By 9:10 p.m., the rescue helicopter had landed at the University Hospital of Northern Norway with Anna. There, an emergency team was already waiting. By the time they reached the hospital, her pupils did not react to light. Anna had no pulse, and she had been in cardiac arrest for almost 3 hours.
Yeah, that just sounds impossible to come back from. But if these stories we tell us anything, it's that you should never give up. There's always that chance.
Absolutely.
Now, this team at the hospital was led by Chief Physician Mads Gilbert. He described the first time he set eyes on Anna. She has completely dilated pupils. She is ashy, waxy white. She's wet. She's ice cold when I touch her skin, and she looks absolutely dead. That's a quote from him. Now, he and his team quickly begin working on Anna, slowly raising her temperature. At 9:40 p.m., the heart-lung machine was started. The machine, which was attached via the groin, transported blood out of the body, oxygenated and pressurized it, and gradually increased its temperature, transporting the blood back into the body. So this is their way of trying to bring her life again.
Exactly, exactly. It's I picture it like a dialysis machine, but it's not quite that. I mean, they're running her cold blood out of her body and then back in, and gradually increasing its temperature, hoping to kickstart her back to life. It's incredible that they're even trying, Aaron. To me, it is. But I mean, I'm no doctor. I mean, maybe any emergency team would do this, but I keep on kind of hesitating when I'm talking about that because it just feels what I'm trying to say is that these teams in Norway, Sweden, Scandinavian countries, these people, the way that they do things in their society, it just feels like something they would do, doesn't it? Like they're almost experimenting here. They're like, let's try, like let's try anything. Let's see if we can have a breakthrough here. And she's lucky that they're pulling out all the stops for her.
Well, they definitely have a plan here. And after about 20 minutes of this, the temperature around her heart was 36 degrees Celsius, which is nearly 97 degrees Fahrenheit.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're checking that temperature, but they're also checking with a rectal thermometer, but those ratings were only 14 degrees Celsius, which is about 57 degrees Fahrenheit. And it takes a while, but at around 22:15, they finally saw the first sign of life, a heartbeat. Now, according to this Dr. Gilbert, he described breaking down in tears with joy when he saw this happen. And according to him, he said, "We just saw some little shivering, and suddenly, it contracted. And there was a pause and a second contraction. Everybody goes like that. And we had really tearful eyes, all of us, because it was a moment of victory."
Wow. So the team, they had worked tirelessly for 2 hours and 20 minutes resuscitating Anna. By midnight, her body temperature was 34 degrees Celsius, 93.2 degrees Fahrenheit. A couple of hours later, she suffered some complications, but the medical team closely monitored and treated her until she was stable. It took a rotation of over 100 medical staff working in shifts over 9 hours to bring Anna back from death. And Aaron, they don't know what the damage is here, by the way. I mean, you'd think she's possibly brain dead, or there's been some damage. Her nerves, they don't know if she's going to be able to walk. There's a lot of questions here, but they've done it. They've brought her back to life.
Yeah, they can either act or they can analyze. And I think in this case, they decided to act because every second counts. And
Yeah,
so they put in the effort. So many times people say, if you just put in the work, well, when it comes to situations like this, we have it in our heads that this is impossible to come back from. If you've not been breathing for so much time, if your
yeah,
heart's been stopped for a long time. But I even hear it if I'm doing, let's just say, a crime case on Generation Y, I'll
right.
have someone write in and say, hey, you talked about this woman who was stabbed to death with a pitchfork, essentially,
Uh-huh,
and you're questioning why they're giving her CPR. And then they launch into this thing where it's like they don't give up on their patients.
right.
And what are they going to do? Say, well, I'm not working today. This isn't worth it. No, every person that medical people deal with, they want to save them. They want to improve their lives. And if you think about it, that's what these doctors take. They take the Hippocratic Oath. And so it makes sense that this is what would happen. I mean, not that she would survive like this
Mhm.
necessarily, but that the medical staff would do everything in their power, everything that they could to save Anna's life.
And her friends with her, she's in the medical field, obviously. She's going towards becoming a doctor herself, trying to, and her friends are both doctors. They probably she had the right people around her, that's for sure as well. And here she is. She's back from the dead. It's a world record. I mean, for her temperature being that low, for her being without breath, without heartbeat for that long, and now she's back breathing with a heartbeat. It's there's no other case like it.
Yeah, I mean, I think since there have been other success stories, but she, this story that she has, it really takes the cake. So
Yeah.
Anna's alive, but of course, they find that there's extensive damage internally. She had internal bleeding, lung, and kidney failure. And on top of that, she was paralyzed from the neck down. Anna spent 10 days unconscious, and almost a month in intensive care. June 24th, 1999 was the first time that she sat up in her hospital bed. Just over 2 weeks later, she took a few steps with great difficulty. By July 20th, she managed to walk 200 meters.
It's amazing. I mean, clearly she's very resilient herself, too. So Anna was flown to Gothenburg, Sweden to be closer to her relatives while rehabilitating. Less than 5 months later, Anna Bågenholm returned to the hospital in Norway, walking through the door unaided. She moved back to her apartment in Narvik, Norway, where she had a personal assistant who aided her for several hours per day. A few months after the incident, she would tell a Swedish newspaper, quote, "I have no function in my hands. The nerves don't work. The muscles are atrophied. I have problems all the way up to my elbows. The nerves seem to be dead in my feet too. Nothing is broken, but something seems dead. I can't be a surgeon anymore. I have to think again. Maybe I'll become a radiologist instead, and I want to stay in Narvik as long as I can." End quote.
Yeah, that's the tough part. So she's made it through all of this, this entire ordeal. But now she's having to deal with the after effects of surviving, which is, hey, you made it, but now your body's not quite working like it used to.
Yeah.
But it's still amazing. I don't know anybody that would want to give up. And certainly she doesn't. But that's a big pivot from I'm going to be a surgeon to maybe I'll become a radiologist, something, find another career path. But Anna is back on the slopes by autumn of that year. On October 17th, with her hands taped to her skiing poles due to lack of function in the nerves, she went on her first skiing trip since the accident. This is something we've seen time and time again. People experience a near death, and then they say, I'm going to go back and do that same thing again.
Yeah.
And that's very admirable.
Yeah, I think it's a very healthy way to approach it. You never know how you're going to react yourself until something like this happens to you, certainly. But I could see how it would be very therapeutic just to face it and move past it. I could see. I don't know. I don't know about the one case we covered recently where the woman fell out of the sky in the airplane and then wanted to be a stewardess still. That I don't know if that would have been my choice. Then I would have never gone in an airplane again. But getting
have you ever been in one?
I have. In an airplane?
I don't think you're in a hurry to get one now.
I'm not. I'm really not. Can you blame me?
I'm going to keep working on this. You have to get on a plane, Luna. There are people that want to see you.
I'm a bit of a diva. Maybe maybe I'll take a limo to the next event, Aaron. We'll see. But I really, I'm blown away by these people who go through these things and then face that same thing once again. Say a shark attack, even get back in the water. Divers we've run into, guys who have been lost on marathons in the desert and go back and do the same marathon later. I mean, these people are pretty special in the first place for attempting these adventures. So it shouldn't surprise you too much, but it always does a little.
So within 2 years, she had regained function in her hands and also changed her career trajectory from surgeon to radiologist. I get it. She's getting function back, but I think she feels more confident being a radiologist at this point. 10 years later, Anna Bågenholm took part in a CNN documentary titled Another Day, Cheating Death. And when asked if the team of doctors had described to her the moment she showed signs of life, she replied, "Yes, but I've been taking part in some rewarmings of other people. I've seen movies like that. I wasn't so impressed. I'm not so emotional. I'm more practical, I think." Now, she just doesn't remember the incident. And I can say I'm not surprised because if you think about how she entered the water, she went head first and she got wedged. So pretty traumatic. And I could imagine that she wasn't conscious for this. What could she remember? This is one of those things where I'm sure everybody walks up to her and says, "How did you do it? I am so amazed at how you were able to come back." And she's like, "I don't even remember it."
Yeah, she could play it up. It is pretty incredible, but she doesn't. She's like, "I don't know. I've seen it before. I'm not that special."
And that's just how it goes, right? We're all like dumbfounded. How did you do this? And she's just like, I
Eh,
I don't know what you're going on about.
yeah, I don't remember, and I've seen other people do it too. Yeah, kind of like Anna.
Yeah.
So Dr. Gilbert, the chief surgeon, later said of Norway, where this happened, particularly the area of Narvik, this is an extreme environment that's very cold. In this environment, we have a lot of hypothermia. Too much cold is a double edged sword. It can kill you and it can save you. He added, "It's amazing. It will kill you if your heart stops from cold before your brain is cold. Just to put it very simply, it will protect you if you get cold enough before you have a cardiac arrest so that your organs do not need oxygen. We could do more in a cold patient before we lose them than in a warm patient." Of Anna specifically, he said, "The cold was protecting her brain. It was stopping her heart, but it was protecting her brain. The brain was so cold that it did not need any oxygen." End quote.
Well, I'll say this. I believe him.
Me too. Yeah, I'll take his word for it.
Now, a report from the Scandinavian Journal of Trauma, Resuscitation, and Emergency Medicine titled Swedish-Norwegian Cooperation in the Treatment of 3 Hypothermia Victims, a case report, highlights the traditional Scandinavian mantra that no one is dead until warm and dead. I think that sums up this story.
It does.
I
Yeah.
mean, Anna wasn't really dead, and it's because she was so damn cold.
Yeah.
The report cites the cases of 3 14-year-old boys who capsized their canoe in water around 3 to 4 degrees Celsius on the Swedish-Norwegian border in mid-June. Of the 3, 2 of the boys were found without a pulse and body temperatures below 18 degrees Celsius. The report found that, similar to Anna Bågenholm, the boys were immersed in cold waters from 60 to 125 minutes before being taken to the nearest hospital in Norway, which is a 30-minute journey by air. The boys, like Anna, were given CPR manually, as well as mechanical chest compressions and defibrillation while being lifted to the hospital.
Yeah, this is an interesting case. All 3 boys were stabilized. One boy had only minor issues, and another had neurological and motor issues that improved after rehabilitation. And the third boy, who did not suffer cardiac arrest, was not impaired in any way and did not require rehabilitation. The study here, it found that giving a victim of hypothermia CPR while waiting for rescue and paramedics helps to maintain brain oxygenation. Quick retrieval of the victim and transportation to a larger hospital with a heart-lung machine is necessary for survival, they found, and controlled rewarming to help bring back circulation and careful and constant monitoring of the patient helps to prevent other complications. So this case was, they learned a lot from this case.
During cardiac arrest, in a body at normal temperature, there is a high risk of damage to the brain within minutes. In a cooled body, the risk is lower due to decreased oxygen demand, decreased metabolism, and cell and organ function. Anna moved back to Norway after she recovered. She moved in with Torvin Nasheim, and the pair began dating. She experienced the cold differently and experienced reduced function in her arms and legs. In 2021, she would say, "Today I have problems with my fingers when it's cold, but I can do everything I did before the accident." It took her a few years to get back to work. She continued to work at the university hospital and went on to lecture on the treatment of hypothermia.
And I read somewhere, but I couldn't confirm it with a few sources, that she ended up being a radiologist for the hospital that she was taken to and saved at, Aaron. So I just want to note that. I can't confirm it, though, because we have different information here. Maybe she's worked a few places since, but I believe she worked there for a little while at the actual hospital that saved her as a radiologist. So Anna, she adopted the traditional motto, "No one should be declared dead until they are both warm and dead," and hoped her story could help others survive. Anna said she has heard rescuers and medical personnel say on many occasions that since hearing her story, they have found it difficult to pronounce others dead and have kept trying to revive victims of hypothermia. She said of her survival, quote, "I was the first person in Tromsø to survive cardiac arrest after cooling. After that, people realized that people can be saved. Up until 2013, they had tried to save 34 patients in Tromsø who had suffered cardiac arrest due to hypothermia. After my accident, 9 patients have survived. None before. You either do CPR or warm the body. If the heart is not beating, keep the person cool and give CPR. If the heart is beating, you must warm the body to gradually raise the body temperature to a safer level. That's the simple rule. End quote. This is like a big thing in her life now, it sounds like, Aaron. I mean, she's talking to a lot of people about that. I'm sure she attends lectures and all that. And she saved some lives here by the sounds of it.
Anna served as an early example that a person can be saved from hypothermia with the right knowledge and resources. The shovel used to dig her out was hung from a tree near the scene as a reminder.
Yeah, where she had been dead in the water, but remarkably brought back to life, Aaron. A happy ending. I know you're a big fan of those, as am I. Any final thoughts here?
No, it's just when we cover stories, we do hope that the ending is a good one.
Yeah.
We hate seeing that people lose their lives. You know, we cover stories of people that get lost in the forest and never make it out. And then, well, at least not until they're a skeleton.
Yeah.
But a story like this, where someone cheats death, as they put it, it's remarkable. And I like how she's just this real person. Anna is basically, I'm just more concerned with they're able to figure out how to save people now. It seems like she's not really thinking about herself.
No.
And that says a lot about her character, or maybe how she was raised. But either way, I'm very impressed.
Yeah, maybe how she's raised. There's this attitude, right? This no nonsense. Let's get to the facts stuff. Don't make me a hero. All I did was fall headfirst to the ice. I don't remember anything afterwards. I'm thankful to be back. Now, what can we learn from this? How can I help going forward? Again, she was in the medical field. Her goals in life were to, I guess, help to progress in any way the medical field, and she achieved that accidentally here with her experience. So, an incredible story, Aaron.
Yeah, I just wonder about these people that are like that, because I guess it brings to mind. I worked for a short time with a guy whose brother is Barry Sanders, the famous running back football player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And growing up in Detroit, we didn't see Super Bowls in Detroit, but what we did have was Barry Sanders, and they'd always say, "Give it to Barry." Well, I met Barry's brother, and I asked him. I said, whenever Barry would get a touchdown or whatever, he would just go and hand the ball to the ref and then head back. And there was no dance, no celebration, no taunting of the other team, because you could do that back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Oh no, our father never would have stood for that." He said, "We were taught that what you do is you play the game for your team.
Yeah.
And if you score, great. But you have to score again and again. The game's not over. You need to do the work, and it's not about you." So I just kind of wonder, was this instilled in her? Is this just her attitude? Or but I think there are a lot of people that would say, "Yeah, that was me. I came back from death," and they want to do a little victory dance, maybe taunt some people, say "You can't do this." I don't know, but that's not Anna. She just, she returned the football to the ref and moved on. That's what it feels like.
I mean, she comes down the hill and she stops and she sprays everybody with snow. Do you know who I am? I survived from the coldest temperature. She moves on down the slope, starts hitting the moguls, does a backflip. Yeah. I like that Barry Sanders story. I remember Barry Sanders used to shake the hand of the people and stuff too. He'd hand the ball over, but he'd do a man handshake for a celebration at times. Yeah, good one, Aaron. Well, I'm gonna head off to bed, and I guess it's just good night for me. I think that I've set up a little igloo for us here on the top of this mountain. Oh God, where'd it go? Oh crap, fell over. I'm not very good at these things.
The good thing about this is if it gets really cold and it looks like it's getting iffy on whether we can make it or not, I think they can resuscitate us.
Oh, that's
I'm feeling good about this now. So
the
igloo's a good idea, man. I kind of like that idea.
Hey, because I made that mistake, if I go first, you can ride me like a sled down the hill and try to get help. I give you permission.
Your favorite thing is to put us in awkward situations at the end of the episode. You know how many times I hear about this now from people?
Well, they don't even talk about the actual show, just by stupid crap at the end.
What did Luna say to Aaron again? He wants him to ride him down a slope into an icy river. Oh my God.
Oh, no. No, no, no.
No
Well,
risk, no reward. Right, Luna?
absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, all the best, Aaron. Good night.
Good night.